Order through the whole for the village of Roscoe for August 7th, 2024. Roll call.
Here.
Simon.
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Malco.
Here.
Patty. Here, right?
Here.
Justice. Here.
Item one, approval of the minutes, sets of minutes tonight. A motion to approve the minutes from the June 18th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Are there any changes, corrections, additions? Seeing none, if I can have a roll call.
Babcock,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Patty. Yes. Mal.
Yes.
Item two, approval of the minutes for the meeting of the committee of the whole from July 16th, 2024. A motion to approve those minutes. So moved.
Second.
Any changes, corrections, discussions? Seeing none, I roll call vote, please.
Right?
Yes.
Patty. Yes. Malco.
Yes.
Babcock.
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Do we have any public comments? Line or person? Seeing none, moving on to old business.
I have something to say.
Public comment?
Yeah, no, public, on your old business.
Okay. When do the, sure. Would you like? to say?
Just a couple questions. Are we gonna go out to bid for a village attorney or somebody to help you? An RFP, it was discussed last December.
I
And
think we
everybody
did that.
asked about it.
Yeah, I think we should, we were going to meet them shortly. That's the discussion we have for either appointing or getting proposals, but
So we can anticipate that in the next month.
I don't know if it's an RFP or a budget presentation, or if she wants to look at the people we've had apply previously, or we can reach out to people, but I would like to have that prior. I would sure elections.
Yeah, based on what are to anticipate as the needs.
Yeah.
What is it that we would expect this additional attorney to do? Once we develop that, then we can take a look at those who.
Well,
have
give me a
applied.
time limit because we discussed this last December.
How about October, because we have so many of these construction projects that we are trying to bring to fruition right now, lots of meetings. Not to put you off, it's just very difficult to get to that right now with planning the Bridge Street project and the Main Street project and all of the other things that are in the works.
Has State Line Baseball been contacted?
They've been contacted, we have not met with them yet.
So when do you anticipate that?
I don't have a schedule for that yet. We can set up some time for trustees to meet with them and we can talk with them.
And the status of the parking lot at Founder's Park, in addition to the plantings.
I believe that's complete. I guess what's your question about? I don't know what your question is.
Well, I've got the minutes from a year ago regarding the board saying, no, we're not gonna waive this parking lot for their outdoor pavilion.
They have a parking lot there, correct? Yes.
But we wanted another one for the outdoor pavilion.
The outdoor pavilion is so small. It seems to be adequately served right now with the existing parking lot and the parking lot that they have at the Quonset Hut area. If you remember, when they first submitted those drawings, I was expecting something really large there. And when you go out there and you look at this, it's a tiny thing.
And it came in for a waiver of it, and the board did not grant the waiver of the paving, you're correct. And
No, I've got the minutes.
Yeah,
And so we're not going to enforce them.
they have a parking, and they paved it.
I
I guess the
understand
waiver was to not pave it. I guess is it not paved? Is that question, is it can be paved or not? They are gonna have to pave it, yes. The answer is yes, it needs
Yes,
to be paved.
and when?
I think it's probably already.
Yeah,
close
well,
to
so
it. I
the,
think it's-
around the new pavilion is
I
paved.
think they completed
I'm
that.
not sure if this, I'd have to go back and read the minutes and look at the plans. Admittedly, I haven't been getting involved with that project because it's a
Yeah.
private project, not a village initiated
Yeah.
project. I don't know if we're talking about the other satellite parking lot that was supposed.
The trustees are still talking about us not allowing them time to build this second parking lot.
Well, the request was to pave the parking lot they put in, the way of not having to put that paving in. And they have paved it now. It is complete now. So that was the request that was denied. There was I'll tell you here, but there was a request to waive the paving requirements, completion of the parking lots. There was a resolution, we had discussion on it. This board voted, no, we're not going to waive that. We're going to make them complete it to our standards and our timeline. But it has been completed now. So, I mean, is the question, was it completed fast enough? I guess it might have been, I think it was a few weeks off the year period.
When was it completed?
Within, I don't know, a few, weeks ago, a month ago.
Okay, I
mean,
had not
within-
noticed it. I had been. Trustee Black stated dictates, they need to build the parking lot with the required amount of space.
Yeah. And the
This
request was
is-
not to pay, not to do that, and that got denied, but they still had a year to complete the parking lot. And they're past at this point. They may have been a few weeks off of the year timeline, but
So the parking lot is in?
I believe it's completed and paid, yeah. We can,
Unless we're talking about, I mean, I know there are multiple parking lots on that site plan, and again, it's not a project
future
I have
projects.
been involved with, so I'd have to go back and look at what the original plan was. And obviously that has to comply with their site plan that they got their ODLAG grant for. But around the pavilion has 100% been paved, and their main parking lot for the large building has been paved.
Yes,
It's
and
the right-
I'm aware
So
of it.
I don't know if we're talking about the
The
one,
one that was at the
That's the
waiver,
grass.
the one question from the waiver was to
For the pavilion,
pavilion, which
Yeah.
has been paid.
yeah, and I believe that's been paid.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, are you looking for, I guess, more parking lots? I
No,
guess that's. the
I'm
question.
looking at the pavilion parking lot.
Yeah, those are all paved, those are both paved out there. It
And
might have
then,
been within a few weeks of the year period they had.
It was about the last month, roughly.
It's, a month ago.
And
And-
there are standards and everything.
Yes, they.
Proper
completed that.
parking spaces.
Yeah, and they have to because of the OSO grant, but yes, they did.
and then what about the plantings, the trees?
The trees, I don't know if those are all completely in yet. That we'll have to look at those. I guess we can check and see if they're completed to the site plan yet, but we can look at those too. All right, item number 3, again, discussion recommendation adopting a policy related to the maintenance of subdivision entrance signs and landscaping. So this is from last meeting, we had the discussion about the subdivision entrance sign policy. We have a draft policy that we started to discuss the last board meeting. There was a request last meeting made to find out how many of the subdivision signs we have are either in the right of way or on private property or in an easement of some sort. So I think these are all the signs, and there might be one maybe that's missing out here, but this is generally the signs we have in the village. A quick summary of those, giving you the locations, and where they are at. Some of them are in medians, those medians are in the right of way, so we have, say, access to those. Most of the median ones, I think, are actually maintained by the subdivisions themselves, but we do have access on those. There's a couple, access location of sign on that little exhibit you got. Some are private property with no easement. Ox Point's an example of that. It's just purely on private property. So if we were going to maintain those signs, we would want an easement or some permission, formalized permission from the property owners. I'm just going down the list here. So we've got Crystal Hills that is in the right of way. A medium, Hawks Point, some private property, with no easement on there. Prairie Ridge is in the right of way. Deerwood, it's interesting, that is sort of off to the side, that is no easement on that one, it's just on somebody's yard.
Sure.
The ones I thought were interesting were the Shepherd Hills ones, which actually do have a structure, an entrance structure easement on those. So those were very properly well done back when those were put in place. So they're on private property, but there is a entrance sign easement on those properties. So those are ones we can maintain. Sagewood is private property, no easement, but across the street from it is actually an easement, I think. Some of that was an interesting one, but that's, again, we would have to get an easement from the property owner on that one. Remington Creek, and that is also on private property with no easement. Oh, but that's the one that across the street from that sign is probably where it was originally supposed to go, because there's a entrance easement on the other side of the road on that one, so. So those are the, Kentucky Creek side is on private property completely. And Hidden Creek is on sort of a mix. It's right off on the side, but I think probably, and it might just be a survey, it might just be the Winges and the survey, survey portion, but it's mostly on the private
And
property.
obviously, the ones that are missing is Cherry Ridge, right, because there's no sign, right?
Correct.
And then Hodges Run.
Oh, Hodges Ring I have, yeah, but that's village property though, yeah.
Be going to reach out to all these individual ones that are on private property and ask for the.
Well, I guess that's the next discussion that everybody here now has to have the discussion of what we want to do. We have a policy, which signs you want to maintain? How much money do you want to spend? What does the village want as its policy? We started talking about this last week. We had the draft policy in here. I guess it's up for discussion here, saying we have comments on what they think or what they want to see.
Guess we should ask. If they say no, what do you do? That's the question, right? You move the sign, you put it somewhere else, where it's in the right of way. I think the first step is you gotta, I think we hopefully get 100% approval to move with this, where they're existing, because they're there for a reason, obviously. Unless there's any signs you see or village work sees are hindrance or an issue. Place, sight lines, those types of things.
So what does Hidden Creek have in each of them?
Yes.
So what does it mean for both Hidden Creek and Promontory Ridge when it's on village property? Is there like some sort of liability to that if somebody was to go work?
Those are, and that's the common one. Those are what most of them are, the homeowners associations. Generally, the developer homeowners associations are in theory supposed to be maintaining the entrance signs in general. We've talked about the village, doing more work on that and actually sort of taking over that responsibility. We can certainly do that. We've talked about, do we want to give it, X number of dollars? Because I think I have $3,500 in here, but do you want to say that's the amount?
Like Promontories, I don't see an issue with us going out there and painting their letters. It looks very faded. Was it painted before?
Yes. Yeah.
But anything like structural, obviously, that's gonna be very
Well,
expensive.
I think as far as HOA, we have an HOA for a reason, and I think that I like the empowering the neighborhood to be able to do it themselves. But there should be an opportunity for when things fall down, or it's the grant opportunity that, if we're doing it ourselves. And I think that may be a carrot for the other subdivisions as well, are they willing to, have the village do it, or something where they'd like to have a grant or something like that? Or can you only work that with an HOA? I don't know.
I don't know, too, that we've got there's definitely different sizes, different qualities of signs too. We've got, Shepherd Hills has more sort of a smaller sign, a little more a plain sign. We've got other ones, Deerwood's got the full brick. I guess what level do we want to, I guess that's probably, we should probably decide, or hopefully decide as we're talking about this, what level do you want to see these signs at? If it's a village sign that the village is gonna say, okay, yeah, we're taking this over. Generally, what level are we replacing these signs at? What condition or size or amount we want to spend on these signs? If it's, okay, everybody's going to have, a basic sign standard, whether it's 3,000 or whatever the price is. Sort of a basic sign versus maybe like the Hawks Point sign, I think. Versus, a larger, more complex sign like Promontory, right? Promontory's got signs and landscaping and maintenance all the way down that first boulevard there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that I'd like to hear generally what we want to aim for. If we're going to be talking to residents and saying, hey, we'll take over your signs for you, or we're going to work with you. What is the idea here of what we want to spend on?
Well, a
Future
couple things. Promontory, we had, a fee when built this out. I mean, the residents all contributed a lot of money when it was first built. And we have, you know, a membership fee, and we say, dues that we pay that goes towards this. But I also think that, you know, this is creativity, this is neighborhood creativity. We as board members shouldn't be saying, well, this is what this sign's gonna look like, or this is, you know, how big or how small. I just think that there's gotta be a way where we can empower the neighborhoods to be able to come up with designs, come up with what they're willing to do. It's a lot easier to do under an HOA structure, I get that. But again, I think it's one of these things where we have communication with the residents. And we set what the fee is and maybe set standards of what the potential size could be.
Yeah.
You know, that would probably be, you know, the sort of the blueprint. But then I think putting money towards it, letting them use it is the way, to go.
And that's, I think that policy provides for that. I've got that in the policy that says, not just an HOA, but a group of property owners in that plat, right? A group of you come together and say, yep, we live here, not a formal HOA, but we want to do this. Come and ask the village and we can, you know, give that, we'll call it a grant, whatever you want to call it, to them, to maintain it. But I guess I need to know is what levels are you looking at for that? What the thoughts are? And we go back and forth on these, right? Chicken Ridge is the one.
Could you make it a percentage?
It's a really
Well,
one.
You know,
what
do a
does-
matching,
What does a sign
you
like
know, the group would
Prairie
come.
Ridge cost? And Crystal Hills
Public Works did those two signs.
kind of
correct,
started
Roy?
a standard
Yeah,
already.
we built the frame, the sign was already there when we painted the sign.
Which ones?
But they were
Crystal
well
Hills and
under
Prairie Ridge.
$30,000,
You've already kind of
you
created a
know.
design standard.
I got those. Next time I could get an accurate.
But that looked good,
Yeah,
the crystal.
But we just painted them, so we don't know how much they cost.
I have the,
But
The actual sign.
the actual sign itself, we did not.
Right. Yeah, that's what we need to figure out how much an actual sign costs.
Well,
Joe,
per-
couldn't you just do like a percentage, matching percentage, like if the neighborhood put up so much, then the village would match it? And then that way they could decide to what length and extreme they wanna go to.
Yeah.
$100,000 sign.
No.
But,
I think then you're gonna have subdivisions that are better off than some of the other ones might be, and then you're gonna have a fight. I think we'd be better off to set an amount and say, this is the base fee, whatever that is. You guys can contribute as much as you want to make your sign more, but this is what the base fee is. So if you just wanna do the base fee, this is what you're gonna get. If you guys want a promontory or something fancier with all the brick and stone,
Raise the money.
exactly, we go this far, we give them the core starting fee. I think the first thing we do is go out and get this easement, though, we should go ask them all for the easement, all these areas. Get those, see what how many people participate, and then. I don't know, I think the 35 or 3,000 probably is not a bad starting fee.
those Porter, like the park signs we have, like Porter Park, Lynn Park, those green, to an
Yeah.
example, those signs. Those were, those were about $600 a piece.
So you got that, plus then you
And that's
got
a
the.
basic sign, right?
Yeah,
Plus,
you got the
whatever.
wood and the little frame, if we said this was Crystal Hills was our base sign. If you don't want anything, this is what you get, and if you want more than that. Then you take your creativity and you go on, and the village will give you. X, but it has to fit within the
And that's
easement,
the
so that,
policy that's proposed here. It's just what that.
That would be my suggestion.
Right, I agree. And the thing is that most of these subdivisions already have signs.
Mhm.
Chicory Ridge, we need to work on, right? But outside that, you know, the hope is that we're not replacing signs in every, you know, that they last for a good long period of time. And then, you know, the grant or whatever we're talking about is for the maintenance and upkeep and landscaping and stuff like that. And, you know, if a subdivision puts forth, you know, valid reasons, what they need it painted, or they need, you know, whatever it is, a light or whatever they can, that should fall under that policy. I think the sign policy in itself should just be, you know, we should be able to do that a one-time thing. You know, upfront, it shouldn't even be like, Chicory shouldn't even have to come to us and say, we want a sign. It's just a matter of, you know, what they want it to look like.
Well,
I think.
I think there should be some opportunity to approve the sign. You approve commercial signs everywhere. So
Yeah,
there can be.
Yeah, but I'm saying about,
Right.
Yeah.
But
think
maybe the
Crystal-
starting point is, as you've all indicated, that you set a baseline. I'm just picking a number, Troy will get us more information, but let's say $3,500 or $4,500. Let's put together an information piece and it can be mailed specifically to each subdivision. And it can read, do you want a sign? And lay out what we have as our sign policy. Our sign policy is, in your subdivision, choose a spokesperson or develop a committee. And come together as a committee, discuss what you want. The village here will give you seed money, $3,500. Pick out what you want as your sign, develop it, whatever. Bring it to the board will approve or not. You want some kind of control over size of it, for example, or materials because of the maintenance issue. And a certain level of aesthetic, we approve it. They go forth and they have their sign, but part of this will also be the installation. So do you want to have money for the total package? The installation, will we do the installation? That's another decision.
I think we're talking about the one sign thing is one thing. The thing I'm really sort of getting at is the grant for maintenance and for landscaping and those things. And how often do you want to allow? We're not going to give a subdivision $3,500 every year. I think we had originally said something like once every 5 years or something, or a total over, maybe they don't get $3,500 a year, but maybe they get like $500 this year for a project, flowers or whatever.
Well, the information piece could include that too, the legacy here. The village will do the structural, if it falls down, or if somebody runs into it, or what have you, or the painting, whatever it is you want it to be. But the upkeep, whether it be if you plant flowers or things need to be pruned, that's on your association or your little informal group. Back to that one there at Prairie Ridge subdivision, that is totally the baby of the lady who lives across the street because she looks at it. She manicures this as an extension of her front yard. She moves, I guarantee you, that isn't gonna be there anymore.
Think
So I just point out, on the board, we're talking about prices, whatever, that's a $14,000 sign. And most of generally, that's that size, that, say, whatever, $16,000, so. That versus,
Is that real stone? If they, is it?
that is a full wood pergola, cantilever arm, materials and double-sided embossed.
But that's fine, we give them 4 or.
I'm just saying is,
They can come up with.
just so you have
their
idea,
Yeah.
of prices, that
Otherwise,
size
they
is
get
prices
Crystal Hills.
versus
I like
Crystal
Crystal
Hills,
Hills.
which is closer to be $2,000.
I think we need to figure out what Crystal Hills sign would cost completely with the sign, structure and installation, and then that be our baseline. How much you get.
Yeah.
So whether that's 4,000, 5,000, 3,000.
So Troy will get back to us. You have those records. You did the Crystal Hill sign, the refurbish.
You may have
It's
to,
a framing issue.
The training.
Plus, I'll look in to see how much
Okay.
side.
I would have to get a small price on time.
So couple of weeks, just give you a couple of weeks to put that next meeting.
Yeah.
And everyone okay with the? Well, once we have that information, I guess you can decide on the base amount.
I'm okay with having a base level sign, because like my neighborhood, has what, 700 houses on it, and having 700 people.
If they all give $2 or $3 or $5.
Right, but having them all come together and agree on the same thing is going to be.
Well, it probably won't.
Even
be.
50%.
No, well,
So that's why having a baseline sign like Crystal Hills, I feel
Right.
like this is what we want to do for you. If you want it or not, there you go.
I think you have that, I think in Crystal Hills, I think we have the.
is there some direction?
I think so, we'll get the Crystal Hills quotes, but I guess my request would be, look at that policy, everybody look it over again. It sounds like everything you are saying is what is in that policy, so look it over. Decide if that's what you want, and then we'll figure out the Chicken Ridge
The dollar.
initial sign
Well,
and
the
then
dollar
the dollar amount for this house.
And you're gonna work on getting that entrance structure easement for all of those, so that
Oh, yeah, I guess would you like me to do that? That's a new question.
I think
too,
we should
is-
reach out to them all and try and get
Okay.
that, just in case. Like yours is an HOA, I'm sorry, I don't know the initials, but like if you guys all moved and it wasn't that anymore, we still need to be able to go in there and maintain it,
And request it,
right?
yeah. And
At least mow
We'll at
around
least
it.
ask them, at least they could ask
Yeah,
out.
we
for
could
it if
ask
they
to
want
get
participate.
that,
Yeah.
that would be good, even at Trickery, so that
Sure.
that would be. That piece, we could at least mow, you know.
I would imagine most people are gonna, I don't know, actually, we'll see if people want to.
I can't imagine they wouldn't, but we need to start there too, along with getting the costing.
So just bring it back to us when you have reached out.
Yep. Actually, we'll bring it back probably before we hear back from everybody, but we'll reach out this week. Once easy. I got all the addresses, we have it listed out already, we've got, that's just sort of the summary, but we've got all the information, from doing this.
For you. What, is that enough for you?
Yeah,
Can you go on?
that's good, yeah. I got number 4, a discussion recommendation to eliminate position of lieutenant from the roster, the authorized ranks in the police department. I don't know how much you want to talk about this.
We don't do this.
Briefly, we don't have a
don't do this.
lieutenant, we don't need
We
it,
don't do
there's a
this.
memo.
Police and fire does this.
So
We
No.
don't fund it.
We,
We only fund it.
correct,
They can have whatever rank they care for. We fund it. So if they want to remove it, tell them to remove it.
They have.
I will disagree with that respectfully, is that we set
When to
the,
change.
we set the positions, we create positions
No, we only fund the positions.
that are available there. So we request. I will respectfully disagree, but the point is that the request is, we don't have lieutenant currently. Do you want to remove that as a authorized rank of the police department? That's the request. Sam, discuss your need for that position.
Yeah, do whatever you want us to do. The lieutenant's position has been filled for say 10 to 12 years, ever since we had a deputy chief position created after that. We had a lieutenant one time, he was promoted to deputy chief. Since then, we haven't had any. It's required by law that every 3 years that we continue a active list, or have an active list that expires every 3 years. So police and fire has requested that the chairwoman, Leanne Jones, that we remove it, because we've been doing a lot of testing, like several times a year for patrol officers right now. And we are just starting a process to promote sergeants, and the lieutenant's position is also going to be expiring, so they would need to test for that as well. And if it is the way, as far as being on the books or sport position by the village board, then it would, we're just asking for police and fire requested, and I am in agreement with it. That be removed off that book, so they just don't have to test for it, wasting time and money, they believe. And if in the future we get to that point where we need a deputy chief and a lieutenant, that we've grown that large, that we can just simply request that a lieutenant's position. Yeah.
That's the same conversation that Leanne Jones had with me. The request that this be removed. It saves them the time and energy and the expenses of testing for a position that does not exist. So,
You know, if it's coming directly from police chief and Ian Jones, and that's the means to do it, I don't see why we wouldn't.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
We'll call.
Malaco,
No,
Petty,
yes.
Flock,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Sima,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, item number 5, will be a presentation on the village's 3rd annual truck or treat at Porter Park. And Hanson, our planner of this for the last few years, our creator of this event, for the last few years, along with now our mission systems not very tight. Created this event a few years ago. I know Ann's been working hard on it and has worked hard on it, and we are coming up to October very quickly here. So, put together sort of the plan and having some discussion about it and present it so we can move forward with everything.
So we had a historic auto auction.
No, that was our
Is that-
employee
Was
appreciation,
it trick or treat?
the Halloween event.
Oh,
So, we all know it was highly successful last year. And post-event, we all kind of met, had some discussions about what was good, what was bad, and what would need to change. Even at the event that night, there was discussion about moving it. I and Janelle have some strong concerns, about moving it out to Riverside just because of this year's flooding. And the water has gone down and returned to normal levels, but I do fear that we might have a rainy fall and perhaps run into that again. But secondly, we like having it at Porter Park. It's successful at Porter Park. And we're trying to create an event that continues to grow every year. So as you can see from the drawing here, we have identified what were most of the complications, which was the parking and the congestion. So one of the things that we are suggesting is kindly asking Public Works to build out another entrance or exit so that there would be 2 ways in and out. Also to identify parking spots and driving lanes. So that people aren't congested in this parking area. So we have approximately 216 spots on the opposite side of the street, the overflow parking lot, with 77 in the main parking lot. And then the other issue we had was the long lines. And long lines aren't always a bad thing. And certainly no one was complaining. It didn't seem to bother anyone except all of us, I guess feeling bad that people were having to wait in line. Our solution to that is to spread the event further north into the park. Can you put up the drawing, Joe? So for those of you that were there last year, the event was focused mainly down by the cabin itself. And this year, to spread it out so that there's more area for lines and people, we're going to move it north. And we'll utilize that entrance off of, is that Windflower up there too?
It's Willowbrook.
Oh,
Or for the other side, you mean?
Yep.
Yep.
So we'll utilize this back entrance way. You can see the top of the screen up there, where it says vendor entrance. That will allow our staff in, it will allow participants who either have a truck or something that they're going to set up. And that way there's extra parking down here for everybody. And we can avoid some of those long lines that are going into the parking lot. Then we'll have tents over here and one of those little fingers that kind of go off to the side. Activities off to the other side. So we're gonna be utilizing a lot more of that park. I think those were the main concerns. There's some things that we've been working on that I've been asked by the person that's joining us not to reveal yet. So we didn't leave that surprise sort of out yet, but that person will be in the activities area, which will probably be a pretty big draw. There's pretty wide space there for people to kind of hang out and stand by. So, I mean, that's our wish. we would ask that you allow us to continue to use Porter until we actually grow out of it and maybe put some dollars into Riverside to make it a little more appealing for our next time. Whenever we grow out of Riverside or grow out of Porter. I don't want to say next year because maybe it's not next year, but if we can put some infrastructure in at Riverside, then that would help us transition from there to.
But we do realize that this is a finite thing, because once we design the 216 parking stalls, that's the OSLED grant space.
So, where's the parking gonna
This
go?
way.
On this, can you show?
So parking's here,
Across the street.
All right, yeah.
parking's here, then we need extra, we have parking here.
Yeah, along Windflower.
So were they parking on that other side last year?
Yeah, this is where they were parking last year.
No, I mean on the other side,
No.
across the street. That
No.
was.
The event was over here last year. This is where pretty much the entire event was there.
Yeah, I know, but I thought there was, people were lined up down that parking lot and going along the side of the other parking lot
You're on McDonald.
on McDonald, lining up to get in.
Like standing, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yes.
Yes.
That's, the issue was the backup
Right.
So
because,
you're gonna have so you're gonna have parking right where Mike's finger is, right there.
Right, but people-
That's further up
Yeah,
into the park.
so the issue was though, is that you get in the line and you're waiting and that was the backup, right? Yeah, and we had other activities going on that people couldn't even get to because at some point, because it was a line, we had so successful, right? We had so many people lined up there. Actually, people can get through at a time.
Well, we
So
were
to-
stopping people to get in.
So to resolve that this year, that line up portion, that sort of the slowest people down, the actual candy, I guess, from the trunks, the trunk or treat portion is up here this year. So people are coming in. If a big draw also is the trucks, the physical big trucks, the public works trucks, the fire trucks, that's down on this bottom part. Down here this year. So yeah, we'll be able to explore those a little more, this a little wider anyway, so you don't get the backup. But the actual line of people getting candy is actually gonna be across the bridge and you go along that path here, up here. That's where that line is for the slowing people down portion. So there shouldn't be a backup into the parking lot here, the main parking lot anymore. We're trying to avoid that because that line, if there is one, will be up here. And that line's gonna happen anyway, you know, here Riverside Park forever, but it's making it away from, you know, the entrance and it's allowing people to use other parts of it as well. To go to the, you know, the activities over here, to go play, not playing the trucks, but yeah, some of it's playing on the trucks, the paint the school bus was one of them last year. Things that were sort of all along this one road last year, now we've got.
Because everything was bunched together.
Yeah.
Sort of on,
Yeah,
right near the cabin. This, it spreads the whole thing out along that
Yeah.
path between the baseball field and north. And it doesn't look from the picture like it's a lot of area, but it is
it is.
a huge area. So that moves all of the lines away from the parking lot and any place people would be driving a vehicle. And the only reason we have to keep some of it on closer to the cabin is so that the police can leave it or fire can leave in an emergency. And the food trucks wouldn't be able to come in from that top entrance because they try to keep their trucks on even ground, just because they're always got stuff in there. So we'll keep the food trucks in that center space there.
So what will be going on in the cabin then?
Nothing. Staff will use the cabin just to store some stuff. We'll have water in there. You know, just store our supplies. It's not going to be, we won't have the pumpkin contest in there. Literally everything will be outside. 90% of things will be outside north of that building.
It up for people to look at it at all, or?
Well, I mean, I've thought about that. That's up to you
I
guys.
think that the problem with it is that's gonna bring everybody over there and cause that congestion. I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to do, but I don't know if.
Just a walkthrough, not like a,
You know, it's like
People do-
5,000 people.
no
walking.
activity.
It's not practical to have it as a walkthrough because it becomes a linger in and never leave type thing, and games going on, so on and so forth. So
And we-
taking it totally offline except for access of staff and
And the
food
food
trucks.
trucks, they have to have access to.
Right.
Can we put up
so.
a poster board of the pictures of the inside of it? People can see it that way as they want.
Sure, with Renton and take a look at the space and put it right outside.
Yeah. So then you can at least look at it. We're trying to get it rented.
The back of last year was that line. It was the trucks last year. It wasn't the cabin. It wasn't, bathrooms. It wasn't the games even. That
I
was
think a lot of
small.
people were going into the pumpkin thing
Yeah.
and going, trying to use the flush bathroom in the porta park. I mean, that
Yeah.
cabin was, you couldn't even walk in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we were
Trying to
eliminating.
market it though, if we want to rent it.
Yeah, but you couldn't even.
There
walk.
really isn't any trouble renting yet.
Well, we
Also
can,
do a
there's other
site
ways to market
Rented
it.
every weekend,
That's,
but you can.
yeah,
I know part of the lines too, I know we talked about also, or in the line for the candy, they had like the guy that had the cool cards where he
Right.
put the kids in there,
Yeah.
that's holding up, and then there was a couple games, so I know we talked about maybe spreading them out, so. If kids just want
We got-
candy, they
yeah.
can do through the candy line.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
other places, right? Yeah,
Right.
other spots across the park. They're getting over there. It's spreading it out, right? It's not that congestion. Everything was in the one spot last year and people wanted to play the games. Some of the tables had craps on it. The SNH was there. They had game. I think they had
they
games
had
going
that
on.
corn game.
It was really very popular, so that would sort of stop people there, so that can be on its own, little area now, so it's just spreading the congestion.
Part of that is us knowing better what those types of, things people are bringing, whether it's a game or just handing out candy, that's us asking the question, so we know where to put people, so there aren't, people getting kind of hung up in
If you want
lines.
to have an experience, then you're over here, but if you just want to.
Right, if you just want candy,
Well, it's really, yeah.
but, we're eliminating, welcome bags, that whole welcome table is gone. We're eliminating prizes, there's no raffles. So we've tried to identify all the things that kind of added up to a little bit of chaos and mitigate it as much as we hopefully can, and, just hopefully.
If you have parking for 293 vehicles,
Says 216.
or 216 here
Plus
and
77.
77.
Oh.
The other.
Estimate, rough estimate.
I was gonna say, I mean, based on, I don't know if that drawing's to scale, is it? So, I mean, those drive aisles look, I don't know how wide those are, but
They're
30, so-
they're longer, they're double, they're bigger than,
traditional.
yeah, traditional standard, yeah.
Yeah, maybe able to get creative with the layout and.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is we put this together so we could just show everybody the general idea of this, but yeah.
And
I think there's probably more parking on that.
Do we have any idea of how much parking would be needed if there were 3,000 people last year?
No,
Did we have enough parking last year, or was it, I mean, was there people waiting to get lot?
I don't know, I've heard that the answer to that is no, but I don't know if it was a parking issue or not having parking staff.
I think that, yeah,
Because
it was the
it's-
entrance and the entrance and exit was the issue too. Like we just want to make sure we have it well marked off, and we will draw out, mark off and line up like where there needs to be. I think, and having two exits, hopefully, we'll look at those two, but would be helpful too.
Because if there's not enough parking, people are waiting for spaces, in fact, that's gonna be,
Well, they were just parking everywhere.
that's gonna be.
Well, also if we get to a point where more people can come in, I'll have a sign that's pre-made that says,
Full.
full, parking lot full, sorry. Although it's not an all-day event and people typically aren't staying the 3 hours and, theoretically, people are just coming in and sort of staying an hour, whatever, and leaving. But sometimes people are getting there half an hour before it even starts, and
I guess I don't think we've really heard complaints about the parking besides, actually in the parking lot itself, like
Yeah.
where to get in and out and
Right.
driving to the parking lot. Not so much, okay, there wasn't parking or even the line, right? The people wanted, they were there because they wanted to
Yeah.
be there, so.
but yeah, the complaints were.
Candy in the line for an
Yeah.
hour was helpful.
It keeps
Leaving was a nightmare from that side.
That's the issue, right? And so that's why we want to make sure we got,
You have
yep,
everybody funneling to
Yep.
one spot, people cutting in front of other people, and little kids walking to the car.
The two access points will be crucial for that.
Yeah,
we're thinking, I think like picture, I guess, Ivers Apple Orchard, like that's sort of the idea. We're thinking on the
Right.
far side there, we've got the lines, we'll get caution tape,
But it
you
makes,
know.
Would it make sense to have the pedestrians cross like in the middle instead of at one of the entrances too? Does that make it any safer? for
I don't think
kids?
so, probably. I don't think so.
No, yeah, then you're dealing with, then you're dealing with bi-directional traffic. No, I think the intent is going to be where we get right at the road entrance where people are gonna be walking. You wanna funnel those people there, so.
I don't think crossing was an issue last year either, because it
I
was
literally
slowing up
making it
at
out
that
there.
point. We had like, we had the barricades down there, we had the flashing things down
And
there.
then we'll have, I think the intent is to have a crosswalk there striped out before the event, so people know. And obviously when vehicles see a crosswalk, they should be stopping, getting back to the traffic thing, but should be stopping, so I don't think parking and access would really be too big of an issue there.
Did I hear that that's bigger than it was last year? But you guys have cut down more trees or something or more brush, or is that not accurate?
What's that?
The overflow parking on the other side,
No, it's,
same.
Just didn't mow.
yeah, it's back
I
inside.
mean, there's more room on there than that. I mean, those are, yeah, if you go actually go out there and look, we can utilize it a
Frisbee
lot.
golf hole
Are
there
you,
now.
are you gonna mow the entire thing instead of just?
There's a hole there in the middle of the field.
Yeah, we've been mowing the whole entire thing.
Frisbee.
for years.
I know, like, before we were just mowing.
We'll block it
people
off.
park.
The first year was like that, yeah,
That-
but then the last year was all.
Or once you get out there, with Brandon or whatever, you can really just put as many cars.
Get
there.
creative with layout, absolutely.
This whole part you see there is all mowed currently. It has been, I think, for.
Do we need a plan B if it's rainy and boggy?
Nope.
That's the good thing about that side though, it drains really well, it's really sandy. That whole
After
part,
5
but
days.
even on the other side, that park's real sandy.
Position, it's
diamonds
gonna
are?
be sunny and beautiful, so we need a plan B.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Look, it was not
70
wonderful last year.
Yeah,
It was cold.
But people just kept coming.
and windy and.
And yes, it was-
drizzly, yeah.
The weather was awful.
Yeah.
The far side where the baseball diamonds are, there's actually a path, that's a whole picture, where there's a path that leads out to the road, so they can drive on the path.
Yeah,
And we'll have designated parking people from Public Works. We will have police in the street directing traffic if necessary. If there's any other concerns anyone has, please let us know and we will.
I think that we're sort of underestimating the amount of people that are gonna be here. I really do, but I think that we can do it this year. First of all, I want to thank Ann and Janelle for putting this together. I think we need to recognize them that they're doing this and put the work together. Also, I think that we should have formal recognition of a committee, like, who's the committee chair? Are you the committee chairman of this? Are we having a,
Yes.
do we have, so we should have these committees chaired, and I am a big proponent of empowerment, right? So if you're chairing the committee and this is the way you think it should be, that's the way it should be. And I think we should support that. So I think that that's my thing, that we should actually have formal chair committees for trunk or treat, hometown holidays, whatever it is. So you know who it is. Those people can should be recognized for what they're doing. And then also, they should, be the person that's leading this and recommending these things. So I think that that's what we should be doing there. Two, on this thing, I support this. I want to see this event it's a great thing. I mean, if you think about it, not a lot of communities do Halloween, right? I mean, and that's probably why we have everyone coming to this. It's sort of like the Chicken Ridge, candy deal when we had the Halloween on that day. So I think that.
No, it doesn't matter what day it is.
Yeah, but if it's not on Halloween, right? I'm saying, if there's other communities doing Halloween on the same day we are, be spread out, but we can make this where we own this, which I think is really good, because Roscoe, we really don't own that. That being said, if it's gonna get bigger and bigger, we're gonna have other things in there. I think we should start planning for Riverside Park in the future.
Yes.
And moving it towards there, and let's monitor this, let's see how it goes. I would even say we probably don't want to do a lot of advertising. I mean, maybe within the village, but I mean, once it starts getting on the news stations and everything else, it's gonna get big. And it's good, and 240 spots,
80,000 readers.
it's gonna be. It's gonna get.
You guys, she already, 80,000 page views.
So my recommendations is to make sure that we have Janelle and Ann recognized that they are the chair folks. That, we work through them, that we look at this for the future, what we can do in the future to make this bigger and better. and we optimize what we can here. I think this plan looks good, so I think we should. move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, years ago, this was my vision, right? And I
Let's
worked,
recognize Sue.
yeah, and I worked very hard to get funding for this.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
This is something I wanted. What kind of money do you think you're gonna need?
Well, we budgeted of the total amount budgeted for special events, we put aside 6,000 for this event.
Okay,
It will not be more than that.
okay.
Absolutely not. I'll tell you right now that we didn't put a lot of actual planning into it yet, because we didn't know what was gonna be the outcome of tonight. So tomorrow, we have a list of things we are going to start doing. And certainly I will keep everyone apprised of things that are happening. No offense to you, Mike, but there are some things that people have asked to keep quiet for a while, so we're gonna keep that under our hats. So some of it might just be by email. But yeah, I don't expect it to be, especially with getting rid of the extras, we'll call them. Our budget shouldn't be that much.
Can you communicate like on village website or on email to us, like where we can help you, like what, you know, what you need? I mean, we should be.
You can ask the community for volunteer.
Right.
Well, so we actually did have a small team last year of small business owners that helped us. All of them have, just in case I needed some backup, I have letters here from everyone saying how amazing it was and they wanted to join us this year. The new owner of Ace is amazing. He's kind and has shown a huge interest in helping us. Even with donations of some items. I want to involve Will and Amy from Hotel Whiskey Barbecue, kind of come in and maybe be a good member of the group. So each year we'll reach out to some new people. We send out letters. We're going to send out.
They'll bring their truck out if you want.
Yeah.
Talk to them about that.
Do we acknowledge, is there a website or something we acknowledge the sponsors?
We did last
So
year.
we're gonna
Yep,
do that again
absolutely.
this year. Good, it's good.
And now that we have Jenna, who is much more comfortable with social media, it's very nice, because some of which took us 3 hours to do, she can knock out in 20 minutes. So it's super helpful to have someone that's much more comfortable using those things. So we should have a bigger presence on social media this year.
If you're interested in a sponsored drone show.
I keep hearing about this drone show. I'd like to
I've
talk
been
to you
brought
about
up
it.
and there's somebody that will probably pay for that.
Okay. We'll just
Is there
talk about it.
FAA airspace about that?
Sam,
Well,
what does your
okay.
department have in this?
Does that have
You
to
have-
do
know
with
yet?
a certain time of the evening?
How many officers were you having in the parking lot? Like, are we
So, yeah.
hiring people back?
We're planning on hiring back at least probably 1 or 2 officers in order to deal with traffic control.
You guys had what,
Plus, we're-
one last year, 2 last year there?
I didn't hire back any.
No,
We got hired, we had people there though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up sending officers from the
Yeah.
roads.
Yeah.
Caleb like participated in
Yeah.
it by handing this stuff out, and then Chris, I think, Wright Wilder came later for
Try to
traffic
help
control.
with traffic, and they expected
We're
to
hiring
expand that.
At least 2 back for traffic control this year then?
Yeah, so probably 2 and then.
That's a-
We're gonna try to put one in there to be a part of it as well, unless traffic is too congested, then we'll leave them out on the road, so. And whatever the road units need to help with, I mean, if it's,
Do you have that budgeted?
I mean, and we have overtime budgets. so-
Okay, I'll just make sure you have the money.
We have-
My budget. A lot of my budget.
Well, thank you, Sue, for being the godmother of this, putting together seriously, and thank you guys for doing this.
Year after year, and I just.
I'm giving,
Well,
I'm
no.
gonna make you a shirt that's godmother. I'll call
The
it.
godmother.
They're all going to wear costumes.
Yeah.
Take the action.
It's just-
All right, that's good.
Public comment, any public comment?
it's gonna wear them out.
Seeing, moving down, presentations, that was presentation essentially, don't need the closed session, I'm looking for adjourn.
Second. Aye.
Yeah. Okay.
We're self-employed.